Today, I'm gonna show you the difference between a low and slow pork butt and a hot and fast pork butt. Both of them turn out great recipes, but I can tell you, there is a difference. All right guys, we're back and today we're doing something totally different. We're gonna cook 2 Prairie Fresh Prime Boston butts. Only we're gonna cook one on our trusty Traeger over Royal Oak charcoal pellets, and we're gonna cook one on our Gateway drum over Royal Oak lump charcoal. And then we're gonna taste them side by side. The only 2 rubs that I'm gonna use is garlic jalapeno and our comp rub. That's it. I'm not gonna use a binder. I'm not gonna inject them or anything. Now I am gonna add my vinegar sauce when I wrap these. Instead of butter bath this time, I'm gonna do that on both of them. So let's get them out of the pack, get them seasoned up, and get them ready to go on the pits. All right, you can see the first thing we wanna do is go ahead and get these cut out of the pack. I'm gonna go ahead and open them up here, and I'm gonna kind of set them out of the pack. You know, make sure there's no blood or anything in here. No, not really. And I'm gonna set it in an aluminum pan here. Do the same thing to this butt. Now I'm gonna dry this off a little bit, that way I can get a hold of it. Now this butt looks pretty good, but I do want to make sure there's no sharp bones or anything, and I'm gonna get, that's hanging on right there, let's get that off. Any loose meat like this, I kind of want to trim off. I'm not gonna leave on. Get a little bit of that fat right there out of there. Now it don't have much of a fat cap on it, and you can see it's already showing some of that bacon underneath that fat cap meat right there. We call that the bacon of the Boston butt. Now I'm just gonna go ahead here, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna do a little bit of score marks on this. Not too deep, not too much. Just come across. That way we get a little more rub in that fat cap. Now I'm gonna call that a day on that butt right there. You can see I'm not gonna do much to it. Now I am gonna take this smaller one, and this is the one I'm gonna cook on my drum hot and fast. Now, for this bigger butt right here, I'm gonna take it and put it on this Traeger Ironwood XL. It's brand new. This is gonna be my first overnight cook on it. We're gonna cook this butt low and slow. So I'm gonna get over here. I'm gonna do a little bit of trimming like I did on the other butt, not much. See a little bit of that hard fat there? Go down and knock just a little bit of that off. This one's got a little bit better of a fat cap on it. Let's score this fat cap. Now, once we got that scored there, I'm not gonna, like I said, trim very much off. I'm gonna trim a little bit of this off that I see, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that fat seam right there, I'm gonna go down that, get a little bit of that off, and a little bit of that off. Now, that butt is ready. Now, all I'm gonna do is put them over here in a pan. I'm gonna move my cutting board out of the way, take a glove off so I don't cross-contaminate anything, and get ready to shake them both on. Now, the first thing I wanna do is come back with a good layer of garlic jalapeno rub on these butts. Let's go ahead and get that on. All right, now it looks like it's time for some of that comp rub. Now, you all know that's the rub that helped me win the 2022 World Rib Championship. It's also great on pork. And keeping it simple with these 2 rubs, you know I'm a big layer. I love layering my rubs, especially on some of the fruit rubs. And I'm just trying to keep this simple for this comparison video by using 2 rubs, especially on a flavor profile that I've been working so close on with ribs. I just want to kind of see how it is on the pulled pork. All right, we've got 2 Boston butts ready for our grills. So remember, this first one right here, this smaller one, is not going on till tomorrow morning. We're fixing to put this butt on our Traeger Timberline, our Traeger Ironwood XL. I just took my Timberline off the porch. I'm getting it mixed up. I'm gonna put it on at 200 degrees at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm gonna let it roll 12 hours at 200 degrees. We'll see where it's at in the morning. So let's stick it on, let it go. We'll see y'all in the morning at 8 a.m. Now the first thing I want to do is go ahead and I'm going to get a pan. under this Boston butt right here because I want to catch all these renderings. And I am going to take and leave the fat side up on this butt. I'm going to lay it right dead center here, and I'm going to let it go. Let's shut that grill lid, let her go for that nap for 12 long hours over Royal Oak charcoal pellets. All right, the first thing we want to do to fire up our Gateway drum smoker, I took my fire basket out. I brought it outside on my patio, outside of my patio here. I've got some Royal Oak lump charcoal. I'm going to get this basket filled about 3/4 of the way up. Now that I've got my fire basket back in my Gateway drum smoker here, I'm going to take 2 Royal Oak tumbleweeds, kind of cram them off on one side over there, light them up, and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to let the drum burn and get lit for about 15 minutes before I put the lid on and start letting it come to temp. All right, I've got a small piece of hickory wood here, center cut. It's been about 15 minutes. You can see our fire basket, those tumbleweeds have caught it up. Got a good, nice little small bed of coals. I'm gonna go ahead and chunk this piece of hickory wood in, get the grate on, get my vents adjusted, and this grill's gonna run about 275 to 300 degrees. If it runs a little over, a little under, that's fine. Remember, we're cooking hot and fast, this butt here. Now, we're gonna dial this wide open right here, the exhaust, and the inlets, we're gonna put about 1/4 of an inch, not very much at all. And we'll see where she tunes in at, and then we can fine adjust it from there. All right, our butt has been on 11 hours on our Traeger Ironwood XL. Now, as you can see, this thing looks beautiful. It's running about 160 degrees right now, 159 actually. I'm gonna go ahead and take that probe out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this up, get it on my pan. We're gonna carry it over to the cutting board, wrap it up with some vinegar sauce, bump the grill to 250 degrees, and let it finish off. Look at that beautiful butt. Now you can see our low and slow pork butt looks phenomenal. It's got that great color from that competition rub and that garlic jalapeno. And now all we gotta do is wrap it up with a little bit of our vinegar sauce. Now, I've got this foil. I've got a single layer here that we're gonna put on this butt. And then I've come back and I have a double layer of foil. So, I'm gonna go one side first here. Make sure I run that down. Another side, and I'm gonna fold that up. Now, let's get this back on the grill, get a probe in it, and get it set to 200 degrees. 195 it should be done, depends on whatever you want. The finish temp's gonna be a little bit lower because we cook low and slow all night long. Let's get it back on the grill and let it go till it gets probe tender. All right, probe is in, grill's at 250 degrees. Let's see how long it takes to finish off. All right, now that we've got our Gateway drum smoker fired up, we've got it rested in, you can see we've got our inlets about 1/4 of the way open. We've got our exhaust all the way open, and we're running right at 300 degrees. Now, when we put this cold Boston butt on here, you know it's gonna drop it down to about 275, and we're gonna be right where we need to be. Let's get it on. Now, I'm going fat side up to start with. After about 45 minutes to an hour, I'm gonna get in here and flip it again. We're gonna be turning and burning, baby. All right, our Boston butt has been cooking 45 minutes. I'm gonna get in here and flip it over, rotate it, and see what it looks like. All right, let's flip it and give it another 45 minutes. All right, let's get in here and see what our butt is like now. I'm gonna go ahead and temp this thing. And it says we're setting at about 127 degrees right now. And so, let's see what this side looks like. Oh yeah. Now, I'm gonna keep letting it roll like that. I'm gonna leave that fat side up. Just gonna move it over here. I'm gonna let it go about another 30 minutes and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. And so you can see in a little over 2 hours, we're at 130 degrees. And our other butt had to cook, what, 10 hours to reach 130 degrees? So you can see there's a little bit of difference in our cooking styles right here. So let's keep letting this charcoal eat that Royal Oak lump. We're gonna come back in about 30 minutes and wrap this butt up. All right, our Boston butt has been on our gateway drum. We've averaged about 275 to 300 degrees, and we've been cooking for 2 hours and 45 minutes total. Let's get in here with our trusty Thermapin 1, see what temp it is, and I've got my foil over here to pull it out, and let's get it wrapped up. Now, I'm gonna turn this butt. Oh yeah, look at that color right there. Now, I'm gonna stick this in. We're sitting at about 142. I think it's got great color. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing picked up. Get it over here. And now I'm gonna get my grill lid shut so it don't keep spiking, of course. Get it over to my cutting board, get it wrapped up, and let's get it back on here to finish off. It smells incredible, that grilled flavor this drum gives off. So let's get over here, get it wrapped up. All right, guys, just to talk a little more about our hot and fast pork butt on our gateway drum. Now remember, we're cooking over that Royal Oak lump charcoal. It's gonna give off that incredible grilled flavor. And this butt was 142, 143 degrees, but it's got the color that I am fine with. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it wrapped. Remember, we're cooking hot and fast. Our low and slow butt is almost 200 degrees right now. And it's been on the grill close to 15, 16 hours. And we're about to catch this butt up pretty quick. Let's get it wrapped up with the same kind of vinegar sauce and get it back on the cooker. All right, now let's get it back over here. I'm gonna let the grill lid shut. I'm gonna keep every 30 minutes, I'm gonna keep moving my position on the rack because I don't want it sitting directly over the coals. And I'm gonna say this is gonna take about another 2 hours to finish cooking, but I don't know, we'll see. All right, it's the moment of truth. Our Traeger's hitting 201 degrees now, actually, since I had to grab a pan and my gloves. This Boston butt has hit 201 degrees, like I said. It's had a total cook time of 16 hours, of course, over those Royal Oak charcoal pellets. And so I'm gonna see, with these charcoal pellets, we cooked the whole time, cooked this big massive, it's about an 11-pound Boston butt. I'm gonna get it over the cutting board, get it wrapped up in a little more foil, and let it rest for about 2 hours while our hot and fast butt is finishing off. All right, now I'm gonna take a piece of foil. Now you can remember I've used 3 pieces of foil already, but I've poked a couple of holes in that. And I know this has got some good juice to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up again. All right. And another layer of foil. Once I get that wrapped up, I'm gonna come back, and the good folks over at the Meat Swaddle has sent me this. It's called the Meat Swaddle. And it's basically a resting pad for your meat. And you can see I unzipped it. It's almost lying like a sleeping bag. I'm gonna go ahead and get my butt right in the middle here, kind of throw it back over, get these gloves off. Now, I'm gonna leave it here on the cutting board and let it hang out and let this butt rest. Now the reason that we rest this butt, if you don't, all the juices is gonna run out of it. You want all that juice in the foil to absorb back up in that butt. After a couple hours, it's gonna be good and tender and ready to shred. We'll see you in a couple hours. All right, our pork butt has been on the gateway drum wrapped up for about 1 hour and 20 minutes now. I'm gonna get in here and check this. Let this smoke get off just a little bit. Now I'm gonna go into that. It shows I'm reading about 193, 192. Now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna spin this rack right here around. I'm gonna put the grill lid back on, and I'm gonna say 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and that butt should be hitting a little over 200 degrees. So we'll let it go, get our air vents buck adjusted right, and let it finish off. We'll get it off the grill to rest. All right, we are 4.5 hours into our Boston butt here on our gateway drum over that Royal Oak charcoal. So let's get our lid off. I'm gonna come in here and look at it. Look at that, 204. It's probing like butter. I can tell you, I'm fixing to get it off here. And so I'm gonna put it in a pan, get my lid back on my grill. I'm gonna let this butt rest for about an hour, and then we're gonna compare it to our low and slow butt for taste and flavor. All right, our low and slow pork butt has been resting about 2.5 hours in our meat swaddle. I'm gonna go ahead and unwrap it here now, and let's see what we're working with. Now, you're gonna notice that this retained a lot of moisture in this pork. Oh yeah, look at that. Look, you're gonna be able to take that blade bone right out, just like that. No problem. Now, I'm gonna come right over here and just kind of dump that in. I just wanna rake that little bit of fat off, and I'm gonna put these big chunks over. You see how that little bit of fat just rakes right off of that pork butt there? That's all I'm wanting to do is rake that off. See that little bit of false cap right there? Rake that off. Now, I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna pick the rest of that up. And you cook this pork butt so long that the fat just literally just falls right off. You take it, and look at that. Just pull that muscle right here. And so, just gonna keep raking that fat right off gently, pulling these big tubes, and we'll mash it up. Now, once you get all your fat pulled off your pork, then you can either A, save this juice here, kind of strain the grease off and drain it back over your butt, but I think the butt's juicy enough. I'm not gonna do that with this batch. I'm gonna take and just throw this whole wad in my garbage can. Now let's get this back up here. And that's that money muscle off that Boston butt. You can see where it just comes right apart. See how it's got those natural breaking points in it right there? And I'm gonna tell y'all know that you gotta have that old Pitmaster snack. Guys, you can just take that butt right there and just strain up. Just as juicy as it can be. Now that is what I call a low and slow pork butt done right. I'm gonna cover this up, and it's time to look at that hot and fast pork butt now, and we're gonna compare the two. All right, now we're gonna take and unwrap this hot and fast pork butt and shred it. All right guys, our hot and fast pork butt, we've got it unwrapped here, and you can see that skin right there just peels right off, what's left of it. And that fat right there, all you do is just rake it right off. Now, there's a tube right out of there, off of that fat. I'm gonna come in here. Let's go ahead and pull that fat off this one side. Now this Boston butt has rested about 2 hours out here. Our low and slow butt had about another 45 minutes of rest. So this one's gonna be a little hotter, and you just wanna keep pulling it back like this right here, raking that fat off. Now that is the only difference when you're cooking a hot and fast pork butt versus low and slow, in my opinion. It already, I can tell you a little bit of a difference. The fat renders a lot more on that low and slow because it's had almost 16 hours of cook time. Well, this pork butt cooked in 4.5 hours, and yeah, that's the money muscle, and it breaks right apart. This pork's gonna have a whole different flavor profile though, and we use the same rubs and everything, but the flavor's gonna be different because it's gonna have that grilled taste to it. Anybody that's cooked off a drum or direct heat cooker knows the taste that I'm talking about. And you can just take those strands though and strand them right apart. See, I'm kind of having to pull this fat off, where on the other one it just raked right off. All right, now we're done with that butt. I can finally say this, the smell coming off of this pork smells like it was grilled. And that's the unique feature that a drum has over any other type of smoker. Let's get up here. I'm gonna take these gloves off now. Let's get the other pork butt up here, taste both of them. All right guys, we got both of our pork butts here in our pan shredded. And so the first thing I'm gonna do, there's a really unique smell to both of these. And so this one tastes smoky goodness, but this one, you smell the grill flavor from it. And so that's one unique difference between both of them. And just visually looking at both of them, I don't know if the camera is picking this up totally. It looks like the low and slow got more of a smoke ring in it. Got a lot more red penetration from the roll oak charcoal pellets. It was barked up good, but I will say the bark was a little bit better. I know a lot of it's not showing in the pan right now on the hot and fast butt. But right now the smoke ring looks to be appeared more in the low and slow butt than the hot and fast. But taste wise, let's go ahead and try both of these so we can talk about them. And so I ate some of this low and slow butt a while ago. I want to get a little bit of the bark here. Incredible taste. Can't go wrong with it. Very, very good. It's got a good kiss of smoke to it. A lot of people say you can't get smoke on a pellet grill. I don't believe that. The way that the new Traeger Ironwood XL runs, it's always patterned in smoke. We cooked at 200 degrees. It bellowed smoke all night long. For almost 14 hours or 13 and a half till I wrapped that butt up, and it didn't go up another 2.5 hours to finish off. That's a phenomenal piece of pork for not having to babysit it or mess with it whatsoever. Now let's get in here and let's try a piece of the hot and fast. I'm gonna be honest, there's a clear winner as far as flavor goes. I think the drum over the Royal Oak Lump Charcoal gives it a better flavor. But as far as ease of cooking, and it don't make a lot of mess, and it's so easy to do and it's easy to control, you can't beat the pellet grill. I would say either way you want to cook a butt, you can't go wrong. One key factor that I will tell you, if you're trying to feed a lot of people and you want it to be easy, cooking the pork butt on the Traeger low and slow yields a lot more meat. Now this butt started out a little over a pound more than this one, but you can see cooking hot and fast versus low and slow, the yield is quite a bit different. I'm gonna be honest, it would be a hard toss-up depending on what I was cooking and how much time I had. You can't go wrong with either one. I hope y'all like my insights into reviewing hot and fast versus low and slow. Both the Gateway Drum and the Traeger Ironwood XL both get my stamp of approval because both cook really good pork. And all you need is the right dry rub combo and sauce combo, and it's always gonna be good. Remember, use the one you like the most and have a good time cooking. We'll catch y'all next time. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and of course, YouTube. I'll see you next week with another video.
Gotta give a winner. You just did the very, they're both good. I'm like, nah, you gotta be like, this one's better.
All right, you mean go back and do it? All right, my crew has given me so much pain. If I had to pick a winner out of one of these two over the other, going off taste alone, it's gotta be the hot and fast. Plain and simple. But it's hard to turn down the easeability of the Traeger. But the flavor is really unique off a Gateway Drum. Be sure to give either one a try. But I guess I'll slide this one forward.